Good morning. We are live at the East Pasco Fine Arts Gallery with artist Cindi Vinci this morning. Normally, we have these types of reception in person, but because of COVID-19, we like to do something a little bit different today. We got a little bit creative. We are still open for walk-ins, individual walk-ins, so we like to invite everyone to stop by at the Welcome Center off of State Road 54. So right now we're going to introduce Cindi. Cindi, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to start your painting journey?
Yeah. When I was a kid, my dad would sketch and draw things, and I loved it. I loved sitting with him, coloring and just creating. Um, we used to have a thing called TV Guide, which is showing my age for sure. And in the TV Guide, it was a little magazine, and they had an advertisement for art school and little drawings. And they would say, if you can draw this, you should go to art school. I drew them all, but I got a little bored. And so I decided to do what felt natural to me. I created this original piece when I was 6 years old.
That's awesome.
That's where my head was and still is in that little piece. But I really got started not that long ago. Most of the pieces that I did when I was younger were gifts for friends and family. And then I decided it's time to get my stuff out there. And it starts here. I sketched and doodled this piece. It is acrylic, and these are plastic lead lines, fake lead lines that you can get anywhere in any craft store or art store. And I call it failure. Now, all of my artwork reflects my life, what journey I took in life, where I am in life, where I'm going in life. But it's also your journey, it's your story. And when I name my pieces, I name them so that you think about what is happening in your life, what has happened, what has brought you to where you are now. On this one, it's very, very similar. This one is success. It's made the same way, but why is success smaller than failure? I don't know. My story is there, but your story may say something else. How many failures have you had? Do they outweigh your successes? Or do your successes really come to you and you embrace those successes?
So you always like for your works to have some kind of teaching moment or message for your viewers?
Absolutely. Stories are intertwined. All of these pieces tell a story, mine and yours.
Okay.
So originally, even though this was my first, let's get going here, I created an art piece that is not here on display. It was part of a 5-piece collection. I will try to show you that collection order, but I might step out a little because there are pieces that are on that wall down there. But right here, this is wood. It's order chaos. It looks pretty organized, but it might not be organized. It depends on how you interpret it. I know how I interpret it, but do you have order in your life, or is it chaos? Do you feel as if you have a double life? Depends. What's going on with you? The third piece in the series is Brain Games. Now, thanks to my wonderful brother-in-law, who is a contractor, he was able to cut 1-inch square blocks for me and create these little wooden frame.
So this is like a puzzle.
It is a puzzle. These pieces will go in there. if you want them to be, but I want you to know that there is a puzzle here, and a very meaningful puzzle. There are 4 sides, obviously blocks. There's 4 sides that we used. One of the sides is burnt wood with this pattern. Another side is just blocks of color. And then there's another side. And that side has words. These words may or may not be recognizable to anyone. They're quotes. They're very short quotes, but they're important quotes. It starts with, "Ask not. Heroes are braver 5 minutes longer." And then you destroy yourself. If you live long enough, you make mistakes. A leader is someone who brings people together, and we are the change that we seek.
That's beautiful.
So the other one thing about this piece, no matter which puzzle is on the front, the other 3 will never match. Never. They're not 4 completely matched sides. Only one can be perfect at a time. So
Awesome.
you have to just be mindful of what's going on around you. There's always something that you don't know, something you need to find, either for yourself or for others. I'm going to step over here.
Can you tell us a little bit about the materials that you use in your artwork?
Yeah, I like using wood. That's all wood and acrylic and a wood burning tool. And this is also chains from fan poles that were drilled through. Unfortunately, I had to do that myself. My brother-in-law just cut the wood. But I like working with wood because I like working with stuff that just sparks something, sparks a story for me.
Right.
The 4th piece is actually the black hole. I'm going to step away from there for just a moment. In the series, again, there's the first piece and then Order, Chaos and Brain Games. And this is the black hole. It's a little off kilter. Of course it is. Space is not perfect. Nothing's perfect. But have you gone through that black hole?
Interesting. And this is all made out of wood, correct?
This is all wood and just regular house paint and some screws and bolts. It's kind of interesting trying to lie down on the floor to make sure these bolts can be put in right and sturdy. But the black hole itself, everyone goes into a black hole. Everyone has bad times in their lives. What did you see on the other end? Did you come back from that black hole? Did you find something wonderful in that black hole? What's in your life? What's in your heart? What's in your soul? There's always going to be a black hole. That's the universe. Coming back to the last piece of that very specific group is modern survival. So this is obviously
you use some recycled material.
Recycled pill bottles.
Yeah.
I'm showing my age too. This is all just
Looks like foam.
foam, yeah, a styrofoam head. This is the base of one of my son's trophies. He took all the names off, so I started using the parts.
So what's the inspiration behind her?
Well, going through that series of 5, the story is there. I'll leave that mystery up to all of you. But in these caps, there are typed prescriptions and other drugs that people are addicted to, people are using to survive. Every life lately seems to be very stressful. So you'll see oxycodone, Vicodin, heroin, opium. I went online and I found 16 drugs that are very commonly used. People use it for survival. Most of them, oddly enough, are prescriptions. But how did we survive in the past without all these medications? Why are we surviving on them now?
It really makes you think.
Take me away. I loved to go sailing. Sailing was just, as Christopher Cross said, takes me away. And I had these sticks, and I just thought, I'm going to play like pickup sticks. I'm going to just drop them down on the canvas. And there it was. I painted each stick and dropped it on the canvas and looked at it and said, wow, that's a sailboat for me. But what is it for you? Is it happy?
Interesting. I didn't see that before, but now that you mention it, I can see a sailboat.
It's a sailboat. And it's just, for me, the memories of just being on the water, listening to the mast just clanking and coming about. It's just beautiful, but it's a journey.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is a journey. Hypothetically, theoretically, actually, it's all a journey. Right here, this is actually a date, 8/14/88. It's a square box with velvet, mirror, and rhinestone, and a little bit of acrylic. This is my interpretation of what I saw that night on August 14th, 1988. The sky was velvety dark. The moon was bright and sparkling, this beautiful crescent with Venus right at the tip. And I just never stopped seeing that.
It stuck with you?
It just stayed there. And I thought, how am I going to share my interpretation of what I saw that night, the beauty and the magnitude of space and what's out there. And so I just found a little piece of velvet fabric, and that was it. It just kind of came about.
Yeah.
Here we have confidence.
You mentioned earlier this is one of your favorites.
This is one of my favorites. There's a lot going on behind her, around her, in front of her. But she's just proudly and confidently just walking, going forward. She's not looking back, but she's bringing everything with her. Confidence is important. You have to have confidence. Everyone has self-doubt, even me. At times I have self-doubt. But in order to really enjoy life and to really be successful, make mistakes. You can't go anywhere. You can't find yourself or anything unless you're making mistakes. You learn. You gain that confidence. You move on. I love her. She's beautiful. There's a little bit of rhinestone in here, little sticky rhinestones, her earrings, her hat, her waist. She shines.
She does.
She's beautiful. I just love her. This triptych is following your own path. That's the name, follow your own path. It's definitely connected. But the beauty of this piece is that you don't have to hang it this way. You can follow your own path. You can put them on different walls. You can hang them sideways, hang them upside down. It doesn't matter. There's still a connection. And that's where life is, even though it's not always in order. You follow your path. You do your thing. Let's step down here. This is watercolor with a toy soldier and face
This
mask.
is different from the others.
Yes. This one popped into my head, and I called it, I I have to actually read the name myself. Concentrate on valor in deeds. Now, think about it. Concentrate on valor in deeds. There's a little bit of a reference there to COVID. This is our world. It's watercolor. This is neighborhoods, school grounds, churches, supermarkets. And then there's this military man. Wonder, is it good that he's here in our country instead of protecting the world itself? Us? What does he mean? And the mask, of course. Our new normal.
So
What are
were
we gonna
you
do?
were you inspired for this painting during the pandemic?
Yes. I always had this idea in my head that I wanted to show life. I didn't want it to be drastic and bloody. And I mean, I had these crazy ideas, and I thought, no, I need to just make people think more. I'm not going to do it in a way that they're actually seeing violence or what's happening. I want them to see this and think, where do we live? How are we handling our world? Now, this is a nostalgic piece. I do call it Days of Old.
It's pretty.
And it's mostly craft items, craft paper, pictures from note cards, stickers, just all done with random stuff that I had around the house. And when I finished it, I thought, wow, that's what life used to be, Victorian. Everything looked so pretty, but it wasn't always pretty. The Victorian era was actually quite difficult. But we look at the beauty. Maybe we should look at the history too. With one is just a watercolor, and actually it was more of a doodle. And it was mixed feelings, and that's kind of how I felt when I was doing it, all mixed up. Happy, maybe, I don't know, wondering. But everybody has mixed feelings. You have to make a decision. You have to step up to the plate. There you have it, the story. Who am I? Many people might actually recognize the people in this picture. They are faces of different styles, different generations, different ways of showing them what their life is like, what their world is. If you look at it, you'll figure out who they are, and you'll see the difference of personalities. And they're all accepted. Every one of them are accepted members of society. But it shouldn't be just them. It should be a lot of people. This is New York City then and now. When I was growing up, this was what apartments in the New York City area looked like. They were affordable, they were rent controlled, it was just comfortable, laid back. This is New York City now. It's expensive. It's hard to live in that city. It's a fantastic city. And you learn a lot in New York City. You just learn a lot. I went to college there, and it's just magnificent. This is Serenity. My husband and I went on vacation in Europe, and this is Capri. Now, those are photographs I took. I printed them out on transfer paper. But just transferring photographs, flat doesn't really do much. It's just a photograph. But I made sure the background was all crazy. Just, you can see.
Like a rough.
It's all rough.
Mhm.
It's much more realistic. It's not just a photograph. The water has the shadows. It just looks more painted, maybe less of a photograph, but it's serene.
Mhm.
It's telling you take time to enjoy the world, enjoy your environment, just care for it. Now, this is the woven piece I was referring to. I originally wanted to do order chaos in this format, but
I see.
yeah, I decided that was my sample piece, but I decided to use it in this. And I called this piece Extinction. This is leather. Those are wood chips, obviously just a craft item. And this is a leaf of a plant that I've never seen before because I haven't lived in Florida as long as my family has. But that's such a beautiful leaf. It doesn't deteriorate. It just lives. But the world is being destroyed. This is all becoming extinct. Leather, wood chips, everything, animals. We're destroying it. We are destroying it. And it's sad. We need to stop and think, should we really do what we're doing to the environment? We can do something about it, definitely. This is busted. It's literally broken glass from a side window of one of my cars. I don't know how the window was busted, but it was. When you look at this piece, what do you see? Do you see a memory of breaking a window and playing baseball? Do you see a drug bust? What do you see when you look at that? It's busted. It's glass. It's fragile. But I'm not going to tell you my interpretation. I know what that is. I want you to figure that out. This was inspired from a very devastating year for me in 2019. I call it Will I See You in Heaven? This is glass from the same windshield. Just some random silk leaves, feather, little craft items, and they're all been, well, I'm forgetting what that is actually, but it's covered in a gel. And I just wander through there and look at maybe nature and stars. But it's a tribute to people I love. And some people don't believe in heaven. That's fine. But this just should remind you of how fragile life really is. Now, this is divided paths. Now, you have to follow your own path, but paths are not always perfect. They're messy. You've got debris and everything there. Hopefully, no trash. But when you walk the path, which path do you want to go? Which way? Do you get lost? Do you find your way back? It's divided. Everybody goes a different way, but you follow that path because something's always going to get your attention when you're hiking or walking or following your path, working, playing. Uncertain. That's on the Block's Brain Games. This is the drawing that started the whole thing. I do have a pencil drawing of the same thing prior to my coloring it with colored pencils. But this was just a random piece that I used to create brain games.
So this is what's kickstarted the collection that you talked about earlier.
No, actually, that's the funniest thing. I did call it uncertain for reasons of, as I mentioned before, do you have confidence or do you not? But the brain games came about because of the art piece that I had created,
Gotcha.
which I am not showing. This is just watercolor. I call it railroad. It looks kind of off track, not quite right,
Mm-hmm.
but it does lead somewhere. We have them. The trains. Have you experienced trains? Have you been on trains? Were they short rides? Were they countrywide trains? Just subway trains? That's all it is. It's trains, train tracks, railroad. But it's a journey. It's an adventure.
There's a pencil drawing of this.
This pencil drawing is similar to that. You know, I start out with sketches, and then when I start doing it, it changes always. And even though it's like railroad, I call this adventure because life is an adventure. And if you keep looking at it that way, it's much more fun. It's an adventure. It might be scary, might be hard, but boy, when you stop and think back, wow, that was fun. Even when the bad stuff happened, life was fun. Lost in Space. I don't know why, I was just into this watercolor blocky thing, and this reminded me of all the debris in space from man, from going up there and leaving stuff in space, satellites that eventually find their way back to Earth because gravity just ran out for that. It just comes crashing down. But it is an adventure. You're lost in space. Your thoughts wander. They go places. They think about things. They make you curious. Now, this is WHO. When hell opens, what happens to people? What happens when something awful happens to them? What happens when people get angry? Just a normal guy with a suit walking down the street. Could be a woman too. But there's something not very pleasant about that face. It's the persona. We all have that persona inside of us. Every single one of us has that. You just have to learn how to keep it real. This is the original sketch of that. Obviously, it's creased because I did it years and years and years ago. And I just put it aside until I decided it needed to be on canvas. You can see it's a little more close up. It could look wicked. It could look curious. It could look dangerous. But who are you? Who am I? Who are we? We need to know each other. We need to understand each other. We need to put ourselves in everyone's shoes and stop judging and just accept. Taking a stand. I was putzing, just sketching, and there it was. Taking a stand. Everyone takes a stand at one point in their life. What was your reason for taking that stand? Was it a reason that was self-serving? Was it a reason that was to be helpful, to make change? Take a stand on something. Find something important and take a stand. Just do it. Roadblocks. This is just a little cheap little earring, but it's the yellow light. Caution. Roadblocks. Which way should you go? Are you going to take the hard route? Are you going to take the easy route? Are you going to not take that chance at all? Yeah, there's always roadblocks. It's what life is. This is what makes a family. I actually sketched that out a long time ago and colored it with pencil and gave it to a friend. But I decided that I needed to portray everybody. What makes a family? 2 women, 2 men, normal marriage, transgender, gay, straight, black, white, pink, purple. There are families. Everyone has a family. Everyone. So, what makes that family? Who? Are they friends that become family? Who are you? What's your family like? Think. This is barrier. Life has barriers, just like it has roadblocks. How do you get through that barrier to go to a better place? Do you give up? Keep fighting? No, you have to face it. You have to get over that barrier. And again, this is a watercolor, and she's just wondering. She's wondering about life, about what's around her. She's just wondering. But what is she wondering about? Really? What's on your mind? Do you take time to think about life and yourself? Do you take time to think about how you're going to make a change, if you're going to make a change? Everybody wonders. Sometimes they wonder in daydreams, just daydreams. But there is a story. Every single piece is connected somehow. There's a story there. And it's your story. It's your interpretation. It's meant to make you think about your life. Think about where you've gone, where you've been, where you come from, where you're going. Interpret it. Look at it. Think about it. Life is good. It really is good.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Do you have any new works in progress?
I
right
do. I have 3 of them in my head and 1 completed. It's called Conundrum. It is a bridge. It's made from picture wire, some pieces of my son's trophy. There's a strip of wood and a paper car that has 2 fronts, and it's stuck in the middle of this wonky kind of bridge because the wires aren't straight. They're woven and crooked. You have a conundrum. What's behind you? What's in front of you? Which way do I go? How do I get off this bridge? How do I move forward? It's almost done. I just have to clip off a few little sharp edges.
We're excited to see it.
Yeah.
And I like that it's like all your pieces, it makes you stop and think.
Yes. It's meant to make you think about life. All of it. There's always something, a story behind what I do. And I want people to think about their lives and the beauty that's in their lives, even when it's stressful, chaotic. There's beauty in life. And people need to look and think and say, it was a kind of a rocky road, but sure is fun. So
Well, thank you, Cindy. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us today
Thank
and
you.
for showing us your pieces and telling us a little bit about what inspires you to create them.
Thank you.
Do you have a website or anywhere they can find you?
I do have a website. It's www.cindi, CINDI, dash Sherman, SHERMAN, dash Vinci, like Leonardo da Vinci, except no da, .com. Currently, it's just these pieces. I will be adding the ones that I'm currently working on, especially the bridge. My fantastic web designer, Susan Powers. I don't know what I would do without her. And again, my incredibly wonderful brother in law for taking time from his contracting gigs to cut the wood with me and for me and help me get these things done.
Wonderful. So, you can also learn about Cindy's works of art and other artists that will come to the East Pasco Fine Arts Gallery at eastpascoarts.com. Cindy's art will be up for the next few days, I believe. So we're still open for walk-ins. If you'd like to come see it in person, feel free to stop by. We're off of 054 on 33613. 054 over in Wesley Chapel. So stop by and give us a visit.
The show is moving to a gallery in Pasco County.
Right.
The dates, I believe, are on the Pasco Fine Arts Council website. So it will be moving from here in a couple of days to another location, and that will be on the Pasco Fine Art Gallery website. And you'll get all the dates and all the information there.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.